Good Monday morning, everyone. Oh my gosh, you guys. I cannot believe Mother's Day was this weekend. So happy late Mother's Day to all the mothers and grandmothers out there. I hope you guys all had a fantastic day. My kids made art and recipes for me at school, and then I got like a massage gift card and I just made them spend time with me all day, which I never thought I would want, but I did. They couldn't have friends or nothing. They had to act like they liked me all day. That's generally kind of how it happens. But happy Monday, everybody. Oh my gosh, this is Author Talk. Russell is currently not here. His wife has fallen and broken her collarbone, so he is on husband duty, as he should be. So you guys know me, Amy. Dina Ray is filling in, Valerie Sweden, and our lovely author guest today is TK Bush. So you guys, obviously it was Mother's Day weekend. Our pool also opened up, so I had to spend most of Saturday at the pool with my kids to satisfy them at the fact that I was not going to take them this week, but we all know that's probably a lie and I'm going to end up taking them. But, May is a time that all of you guys just pray or throw up good vibes for me because it is busier than hell over here. I've got a field trip today. I got to go pick my kid up afterwards. And then I've got water slide day. I've got field day on Friday. And then on top of that, I've got graduations. I've got birthday dinners. I've got birthday planning. I mean, I'm lucky if I can remember my name, you guys, after this show. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So fun times. The weekend was chaotic and then Mother's Day kind of thrown in there. But what all did you guys do? How was your guys' Mother's Day? So tell me all the goodies. I'm going to live through you guys for the weekend. So who wants to go first, or do you want me to just start randomly calling on people?
It's like class. Who wants to go first?
Exactly. It is a lot like class. So to ease the blow, Valerie, you go first. You always have adventurous weekends, and I'd love to hear about your Mother's Day. And you're a grandmother, so I want to hear about your daughter's first Mother's Day. So tell us all about it.
It was great. So we had all the family in town from San Antonio. So we had all 4 kids and the grandson. And so it was all good. We also, today is our anniversary. So it's our 35th wedding anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. So we decided to take the kids to dinner Saturday night at Star Pizza here in town, because that's where we had our second date, and that's where we celebrated our 25th anniversary. So we went for our 35th anniversary and just took over it was great. It was great. We just ordered tons of food, just sat there, reliving the moment from as much as we can remember,
I love it. That is super cute. I love that.
And then we made a trek with some of the kids from San Antonio to go see the Frida exhibit at the Museum of Fine Arts because it leaves this week. And so I was like, no, one more time, we have to see it. And then they had never seen it. And one of the kids had never, my son's girlfriend had never been to that museum. And so we were like, wow. It was so crowded though, because I think everybody wanted to see her one more time. Because it takes over like most of the whole top floor of the Museum of Fine Arts.
Oh, wow.
And it was a lot of artwork that had traveled from Mexico City, from what I understand, original art, and then work inspired by Frida Kahlo. And then, of course, yesterday was chaos. Yesterday was big chaos with everybody, and we had a crawfish boil. And then what was really bad is that both of our moms were sick, so they couldn't even join us. So we had to go call them, go drop off their presents and then come back. But it was great. It was great. What can I say? It was great.
Yeah, a good crazy weekend. I love that. Yeah. Mine and Josh is 10 years in June, and we've actually kind of sat down and started planning. And I think we're gonna do Sedona for a couple days.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, so neither one of us have been. You guys know me, I wanted to go just sit on a beach and no one know my name or call my name. And like, if Josh appears, it's great. If not, I don't need, I'm okay. Just everyone leave me alone. But he didn't want to be somewhere that was hot because, in Texas, it's just hot all the time. So Sedona should be nice at night. And then I did not know this either. It's like spa capital. They have so many spas there. I had no idea. So I made him, he has to do a spa day with me, and then I'll go to the Grand Canyon with him because I have no interest in that, to be honest. It's hot as hell, and it's just a big canyon. I mean, I'm sure it's beautiful and immaculate, but I'm from Texas. It's hot as hell. I don't want to go trek in a valley when it's already hot as hell. I don't want to do it.
One more hot place.
Take me in November. I mean, but then see, I don't know because then it might be cold or snowing, and I don't have time for that either. So, I mean, I'm good with photos, a video
Mhm,
I'm good with.
mhm.
So, but I
I have never been to the Grand Canyon.
yeah, I drove through it one time on a road trip to Vegas. My friend's husband was stationed out there for the summer, and I went from Houston there, and we'd pass Flagstaff, and we just passed the canyon, and it was
Mhm.
marvelous to look at in
Mhm.
AC through a window. But I am one that likes AC, and I don't need to go hiking in it and break a limb. I don't know. I believe photographs capture magic. I don't need to see it, but we'll just see how it goes. It'll be a fun kind of expedition. And I have to go on an airplane, you guys. And all of you guys know I am terrible with that. And it's a 2.5 hour flight, and I'm terrible with flights.
Are you
So
actually gonna fly?
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. To be fair, we were looking at Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico was like a 6.5 hour flight. So I will take this two
Wow.
and a half hour flight. But
Mhm.
I am like, it's not happening until like mid-June, TK, and I'm already borderline freaking out about this flight. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of
Have
fun.
you always been like that with flights? Or has it
Yes.
been recently?
I would much rather sink in a boat because I can swim than to fall out of the sky because I can't do anything. I can't grab onto anything. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
ease the blow. At least in a ship, I can control hopefully not being stuck out of anything and swimming. Now, if I get eaten by sharks, it's because I was tired. I'm okay with that. Okay. But falling from the sky and not having control over any of that, my mind just cannot
That makes
fathom
sense.
that.
Yeah. I
So,
asked because I used to love flying, and it's been only within like the last maybe 5, maybe 10 years that when I fly, it's my mind just goes crazy with all the things that, even though I know they say yes, it's the safest way to travel, but I usually have to have a cocktail or something before I
oh,
fly because
yeah.
otherwise I'm thinking too much about it.
I'm
So
telling you, yeah, I rode on Spirit Airlines and I understood real quick why the name was Spirit because you met your spirit on that airline. Okay. And if you survived, you came to one with yourself. So I definitely understood that. And I think maybe that feeds it. But I mean, the takeoffs and landings I know are everybody's thing, but like the minor turbulences, you guys, I am that annoying passenger. It's just like, oh my God, like I grab the seat. I'm not good. I openly admit this. I have to have a window seat, which I don't know why, because I don't look out at it because I can't do heights. So I'm just, yeah. I mean, who would have known that I had these fears? But yeah, no, totally do. So it's gonna be fun. But I love that you
Yeah.
went back to your second date spot. Valerie. That's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
And 35 years. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was somebody, one of the my daughter's boyfriend, he goes, so where did y'all sit her? And I was like, in the small table where there's just two of us, but
Oh,
it's exactly the same. The restaurant's pretty much exactly the same because it's
oh,
been
I
there since
love that.
1976. So it's just, it's one of those restaurants in Houston that just never changes.
Yeah, I
So
love that. So nostalgic. I love it.
yeah.
TK, what did you do this weekend?
Uh, so it's an interesting, it wasn't really a traditional Mother's Day, but so we just moved back down to Florida. And well, I lived here before, and so I'm coming home, and we really didn't make any plans. I think the night before I was just really tired from the week, and I said, let's just stay in, watch movies or whatever. I don't, my husband's like, well, we have this joke about flowers. He's like, do you want me to get you flowers? Like a couple of years ago, he bought me a Lego set that said love, which I thought was cool because I
Oh,
started
I
doing
love
Legos with my son. And
Nice.
so we try to do different things. And then also our cats, cats are allergic to half the plants and things in bouquets of flowers anyway. So we just said, we won't do flowers or anything. But we didn't really make a whole plan. And so the night before, I told my husband, I said, did you break a mirror or walk under a ladder or something? Because every chaotic thing happened from
No.
the night before into the morning. And it was funny things like we don't have a TV in the bedroom because it's just annoying to me. That's a whole other story, but it's annoying having a TV in the bedroom until you want to watch something in the bedroom. But so we had this thing that we bought from Amazon. It's a mount, but it's just on a stand and you put the TV on it. And I guess he didn't have it on there correctly. So when he went to walk by in the dark, the TV slid right off of it and it just fell. And so I thought, oh, no big deal. I could probably fix this. But when he picked it back up, it fell like 2 more times. And we turned it on. It's smashed. It's done. He's still trying to fix it. It's funny. And so the next day, on Mother's Day, we got up. He's like, I'm going to, I'll make you breakfast. And I'm like, yes, bacon. And he'll put it on the grill. Well, the grill he used to have in Florida was a Traeger, a smoker. So, he can put stuff out there and walk away. This is a propane grill, and he's not that familiar with it. So we had a little bit of wasn't exactly a fire, but kind of. There were flames.
Nice.
Yeah.
The bacon did not survive. And that was breakfast. And a few more things happened throughout the day. I think we tried to go to leave. I said, let's just go somewhere. We couldn't think of a plan to go. And I thought, let's go to Epcot. We're right by Disney. And he'd never been to Disney. So I said, well, we'll just go do that. We got all the way, probably about halfway there, and I realized I forgot my ID. And we didn't have passes or anything. So I think you probably need them. So we drove all the way back. I came in the house. I grabbed my ID, but my overthinking brain said, I should get a water bottle that we can carry. I went to get the water bottle. I think I grabbed something else, got back in the car. And on the way back over there, I had this thought like, man, wouldn't it be funny if I forgot my ID again? I don't know why I didn't look, but we got all the way to the park this time, got to the entrance. I'm like, no. I don't have my ID. So we decided it wasn't meant to be. And I came back, and the reason that I left it the second time is because I went to go pick up all those extra things and I forgot my ID. So there was many more little things that happened throughout the day that we're just like, you can't make this stuff up. So, but it was nice, spending time with him anyway. And of course my son was in his room most of the time on his games that he calls plans. He says, let me check my calendar.
Nice. So you're always going to remember that one for sure. I have gotten the way. I've gotten. So, okay. I don't know if any of you guys are like me. I don't drive with shoes on, and I'm a sandals girl. I'm not going to lie. I don't drive with shoes on. So I leave my sandals there and I just put them on when I'm going to get out of the car. Right. And when Josh cleans my car, he takes them out, which thoroughly pisses me off when he does that, because I am one that gets in the car and I just go. And I got all the way, Dina, to Ross one time. I went to get out of the car, and it was a 25-minute drive. I had no damn shoes. I had to go home, and I done cussed him out all the way home, got my shoes. I said, I made it all the way to Ross, and I didn't have my shoes, la, la, la. So I totally understand the driver's license thing. And it's one that you're definitely going to remember forever. And so I love that story. Not that those things happened, but that you have the memories.
Yeah.
I do that all the time, TK. I am so bad about that, because you have one thing in mind and then you're like, you get distracted and doing something. I do it all the time.
It's so frustrating because I'm like, how do I just have it and I forgot that quickly.
Well, I've got like this fear of my mom always told me that if you ever leave the house and you forget something and you go back, the rest of the day is going to be bad luck if you go back. So I sit in the driveway and I was like, okay, do I have my phone? Do I have my vape? Do I have my keys? Do I have my purse? And then I leave because I will not go back home ever. I've gotten halfway down the road, realized we're leaving on a road trip and realized I forgot my pillows and I can't sleep without my pillows. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just not going to sleep because I'm not going back to the house. It's just not going to happen. So,
Wow. That's
So, but this weekend I bought my mom Noodle House. Well, I bought everyone Noodle House, not just my mom. And so we had a nice Vietnamese noodle dinner, and then I worked. I'm like doing this like 180 image nonfiction book. It's like letters And so you have to be like really focused on that. So I have to do it when I don't have like all these millions of, emails and stuff coming in. So I had to focus on that. So that's what I worked on while it was quiet and no one was sending me emails.
Yeah. And it was really a good thing. We went after Star Pizza, we went to the Barnes and Noble in River Oaks area on our way home. And we're like, hey, we have time. It's still open because I think they're open till like 9 or something. That place was so crowded, just so crowded. People just buying lots of stuff. I don't know if it's for Mother's Day. They were looking for new ideas, something different, but lots and lots of people buying books. I was like, yay. Yay. It's good to see. Oh my God, I totally forgot to tell you. This is so crazy. So Friday, I was substitute teaching at St. Cecilia School, and they were like, okay, nobody can enter the school after 11. We have high security, all this stuff happening. And they had the Supreme Court justice coming. I was like,
Wow.
one of the Supreme Court justices, like from Texas? And they're like, no, one of the 9 or whatever. And so I was like, okay. And so it was security everywhere, cops everywhere. The kids had to go through a metal detector, which was like, like kindergarten, but no, I think it was like 3rd grade and up. But anyway, so he came, his Neil Gorshak, and he and his co-writer came, and they spoke to the kids, and they were touring just throughout the area. I think they had some other stops at libraries, and I think another maybe stop with the Barbara Bush Literacy Foundation. But they spoke, and so I was like, what a day to be here to hear him speak. And so, and I thought it was going to be like a history book, but it is kind of a history book. It's called Heroes of 1776, and it's a book designed for children. And I was like, so cool. And so they were selling copies of the book, and they didn't have any extra. So I ran down to Blue Willow. They had some extra signed copies. So I got a signed copy by the Supreme Court Justice
Wow.
of this book. And the artwork in here is beautiful, talking about just the American Revolution, because it's America's 250th birthday. And also, yeah, that's really cool. I forgot to tell you, which is so weird, because this kind of went into another thing. The Houston Museum of Natural Science also has Declaration of Independence, the Treaty of Paris, the Bill of Rights, all these special documents called the Freedom Plane Tour, National Tour, and it's in the Museum of Natural Science. I was like, how weird is all of these things happening? But it's in honor of the birthday of America. So I was like, if that's not inspiring as authors, that's great. And TK, I can't wait to hear all your stories too. But I was like, I know I would told Russell, I was like, Russell, I gotta put this out here because a Supreme Court judge. That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty
For
cool.
sure. Speaking of Russell, I'll be playing Russell's role today on the show.
Yes.
So you guys, we want to thank everyone that listens to us. We are top 1% over on Good Pods and in the independent book category. We're top 10% on other podcast platforms. So if you want to check us out, you can go over to Amazon, Spotify, anywhere that you can search for a podcast, type in Author Talk, look for Crimson, Red, and Gold that Dina created based on my favorite colors, and you can listen to all of our episodes. If you want to tune in with us, comment with us, and watch us live, me and Valerie are very animated with our hands, and like Russell likes to say, I don't have a poker face, so you always know where you stand with me. Not necessarily always what I'm saying. So you can go over to our YouTube channel, our Facebook group, any one of our social media platforms, Mondays at 10 a.m. Central Time, and you can check us out. Our YouTube channel has every single episode, you guys, that we have ever made in our 10 years running. So you can see the wonderful way that we started to where we are today. So if you want to have a good chuckle and go down memory lane with us, make sure that you go and check out our YouTube channel. But we love talking with authors. Psychological thrillers is a love for all of us in the genre department. So Dina, Valerie, let's get TK talking about her psychological thriller that comes out in October. So whoever wants to go, start it.
Dina, would you like to start?
She's muted.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And she froze. Okay. Let's see. We can't hear you.
You're muted. Valerie, go ahead. Dina, you're muted.
Sorry.
That's okay. TK, tell us about the title of your book and what it's about, please.
So the book is called Unveiled, and it is, like we discussed, psychological thriller. A funny tidbit about that is when I first started that book, I did not realize it was going to be a psychological thriller. I was going for romantic suspense, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. So that's
Yes.
where it ended up. And it made perfect sense because that's the stuff I like to watch. It's what I like to read. So, it was only fair that, it turned out that way. But it's my main character actually based it in the cardiology field, because that's where I worked before I dove into my author life. And I also based it in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is where I grew up. So it was kind of my little shout out for Cath Lab and Las Cruces. But the main character, she had an accident back in her past where she lost memories of that night. And so fast forward, she's, got a great job, great career, and great life. And everything's going swimmingly until her ex from years ago shows back up. And he wants to pick up where they left off. And so he is using something that happened in her past to kind of pull her back in. And it is a deadly secret that he has, and he's kind of using, blackmailish type of things to get her to trust him. And it gets to the point where she doesn't really know who to trust, who to believe. And it's a lot of different people's views on things. Everyone in the story thinks that they are doing what is best. And so it just kind of goes from there. And she has to kind of maintain, her life and her sanity along the way while trying to figure out the truth.
Yes. What
Well,
prompted you to become a writer as well? Instead, or were you always writing in addition to your other career? Can you tell us a little bit about your past and then how it connected to your writing experience now?
Sure. Yeah, I have actually been writing my whole life. I knew from a very early age I wanted to be an author. That was always my dream. I learned to read at a very early age. I was writing stories, short stories. My favorite classes in school were literature, reading, all of those things. And I knew that's what I
Yes.
wanted to do. But, you grow up, you become an adult, and you can't just live off of those type of things, the arts. And so I ended up in the medical field because I was working clerical jobs in the medical field. And I found that I kind of liked that. And I did that for about 10 years till I decided I wanted to get in on the action. But the whole goal was, to find a stable job, stable career that I enjoyed so that I could focus on my writing. And then I ended up in the cardiology field, and that just went left. And, I loved it and it was a big thing, but it did kind of create less time for me to spend on writing. And it got to the point where I couldn't really, it was like this fire that burned inside me all the time. I just knew that I had to get back to writing and I couldn't keep putting it off. Work, family, there's all these things in life that happen. And I just knew I needed, you have these characters in your head and these story ideas that I have on my phone and, in paper all over the place. And I thought, I really need to do this. And so I started crafting my first novel, and I got about halfway through when I started to realize there's a lot more than just writing a novel, just putting paper or words on the page. And so I ended up shelving that, and that's when I started Unveiled. And when it releases in October, it will be 3 years since I started that book. So it was quite a long process, mainly just because I didn't really have a clue about writing a novel. I mean, I've been writing my whole life, but I didn't really know all of what goes into it. It's a difficult thing to do. It's, you kind of love and hate it at the same time. But yeah, that's how I kind of got started with that. And that's my passion. I'm having so much fun. I'm already starting on the second one, but so.
Well, memory gaps and unreliable perception can be terrifying because, I mean, it's just so plausible. What drew you towards that psychological angle instead of, a traditional mystery setup?
I think it's a lot of this book particularly, but also I realized one day a lot of the stories that I've written, they all kind of had the same type of, not situations, but they all have to do with like relationships and things that can go wrong. And honestly, I took it, a lot of it, from some things that I've been through. And it happens as like those what if things, you know, like if something happened where I went through this particular thing, you know, in a relationship, or, you know, I heard about someone going through something, and my mind goes, well, what if that had gone a different way? Or a lot of times I'll think about how I made decisions based on how I felt about it. And, you know, later on, you're like, man, I wish I'd made that decision, or I wish I had done that thing. And that's kind of how my stories, that they happen. I think, well, if somebody's in a situation or in a relationship, and what could be like the worst case scenario, as you know, what could happen with these people where they're forced to make choices outside of, you know, the typical decisions. And that's usually how my characters are created. You know, I take two choices that you could make, and each of those characters make those opposite choices. And as far as the memory loss, I just thought, you know, honestly, I can't really remember how that one ended up with the memory loss. I think I wanted it to be a little bit more exciting than, you know, the ex comes back, he wants her back, and she says, no, this is my life, you know, but because, you know, that could just be kind of boring. I thought, you know, like I needed a twist, you know, something to throw in there where why would she even consider this, you know, when her life is so good? And I thought, well, what if she can't really remember this night and he does, and he's telling her these things? So that's kind of how that happened. I tried to outline. I don't know. I'm a little bit between a pantser and an outliner. So I always start with like a concept, and it never ends up ending that way. So it might have been that situation in this book where I just was writing and I went, oh, okay, yeah, that's what we're doing. So, and I've been intrigued by,
were you intentionally,
the psychological part of memory loss. And
well, were you intentionally exploring the idea that people can carry hidden trauma, even masking their, you know, their successful lives?
oh, absolutely. I mean, even if there's not memory loss, I mean, even just day-to-day life where, you know, we're pushing things down, you know, and we're just trying to survive and move forward. And I know personally, you know, it's like you don't want the past to really control your present life, but if it's not dealt with, you know, I feel like a lot of these stories, and I realized this also while I was writing, you know, because I thought, why do I write like this? You know, this is, you know, why do I write like this? You know, I was trying to find my why at that point. And I realized that a lot of the situations I was in personally, and people that I knew, they never really got closure from those things. And, you know, some people go to therapy. I've been through therapy before. And, you know, I've found that it brings out things that you never even knew were hidden. And so I realized that some of the stories that I come up with, they are my way of somehow getting closure for those situations. And then, you know, I have fun with them, and I make up scenarios based on, you know, I take something that might be little or big, and then I just recreate it. So like, I just like that psychological part of just, you know, buried, you know, things, buried trauma, and, you know, dealing with it. And I don't know if that answered your question, sorry, but.
Well, I do have one more thing. Since you said it took you 3 years from the time you started, you know, on a dark, stormy night, you started writing this until it's ready to go. Do y'all remember that? It was a dark, stormy night.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but what surprised you most as a debut novelist about the whole publishing process?
I think what the most surprising part was how much you have to be on social media and out there, because I always had this idea in my head as a child and growing up, I'm just going to be in my little quiet space of writing. I'm just going to write these books. I'm going to send them off. And then but that's not the world we live in. So that's been honestly the toughest part is the marketing and the platform building, all of these things that I had no clue about before when I started this. And but part of the reason why it took so long is I mean, there was a little bit of that. The platform building is like, I wrote the story that took probably about 6 months to write the first rough draft. But then it's like you go back and there's edits, and I wasn't really on any time frame. I made a goal for myself, but I wasn't, I was nowhere near finding a publisher, platform building, any of those things. So I had to kind of figure out what I needed to do. And I had a great mentor and, an editor. She really pushed me to, start building my platform. And I thought, well, don't I do that later once it comes out? And it's like, no, you have to start doing that now. So then there was time to do all of that. And then, when I first started my first round of edits, and I thought, what is this that I just wrote? And so there was a lot of fixing and then refixing. And then I finally had to tell myself to stop fixing, and stop editing, because every time I looked at it, there was more things I wanted to change. So I think that was kind of, why it took so long. It was just a little bit of all of that. And I learned so much. I learned so much through that process. So even though it took a while, I'm really grateful that it did, because now going forward with the next books, there's certain things that I can, be on top of before I get going. And so,
yes. And I feel,
well, was there a moment during production where you thought this is really becoming a real book? I mean, what was that moment like for you?
Yeah.
I think that moment honestly was when I had that moment a few times, because I think, like when I mentioned earlier how I had started a novel before this, and I got about halfway through that one and I decided to shelve it for a few reasons. So my mindset for this is becoming a novel, it had kind of already been there a little bit. So with Unveiled, I think it started to feel that way, honestly, when I finished it, because I've written so many stories, short stories in the past, and I've attempted ideas for novels before, but I never really was able to finish them. And with this one, I mean, when I got to the point where you put the end on the end, there was tears, there's emotions. And that was when I was like, I wrote a whole book. I wrote a book. Like, it's not a moment I'll ever forget. It was unreal, And so I guess that was my moment when I believed it was actually happening, when I actually finished it. But then, after that, the edits and all the platform building, there was moments after that I thought, this is not going to publish. I'm not going to get this, so I still had those doubts later on. I still do, even though it's getting published, and, I'm terrified of people reading it, but I'm excited about people reading it too. So, mixed emotions, but it's still amazing to me that I did this.
I feel that. I'm sorry. I feel like that happens to a lot of authors too, because even like I was just saying, we went to Barnes and Noble, and I'm walking around like, oh my gosh, this is so many people's life's work, and just all your blood, sweat, and tears went into it. Can you share a little bit about your character development, because it sounds like they kind of evolved over time as you were writing?
Yeah. So my character honestly, that was one of the big things I did learn in this process, was how important character developing is. I always have these characters in my head, and to me, I know who they are, but putting them on paper and knowing who they are in your head, totally different situation. Because as you're writing them, you have to know all of the little things, like what do they like, what do they, how little things. What's their favorite color? What kind of food do they like? Because you have to know how they're going to react while you're writing the story. And when I first started the book, honestly, I didn't develop my characters as much as I thought I had in the beginning. And so that took time, and I kind of did it backwards, where I was developing them as I was learning them as they were coming out on the paper. And it did take, I know this was part of the question Dina was asking, that was part of the process that made, or getting mixed up. That was part of the reason it took longer, was because there were some things that I did after the fact, as they were going, the characters I started to know who they were, and I started developing more of their backstories. And so when I went back to the second and third revision, it was a little bit easier, because, okay, now I know who they are. But it was definitely a challenge creating them.
Oh, I agree. I feel like it's always a path of discovery for every author. You, like you said, you think you know what your character is going to be like, and there are pros and cons of this and that, and but it doesn't come to you're in the middle of all the whole story. Exactly. Dina, did you have another
So when
question?
when readers finish when readers finish Unveiled, what do you hope stays with them after they close the book?
Oh,
I hope that with with all of these stories, even I think the ones that I will write, there's always a message that I do convey in these twisted psychological, relationship dramas, however you want to put them, is that it's about, self-awareness and forgiveness of, your flaws, your mistakes, and moving forward, and knowing that, everyone's truth is their own truth, right? And so my characters in this book, like I said, they all think that they are right. They think they are justified in their decisions for XYZ. And by the end of the book, you know you realize what closure, or even not having closure, means, and how you can kind of how you can heal and move forward regardless of the things that have happened, and sometimes having to forgive, people or circumstances or even yourself, even if it's not deserved. It's kind of the message that I try to convey in the things that I write, and especially in Unveiled.
Was it hard for you to balance the darkness of a psychological drama with the personal redemption part of it?
I don't think so, because I think that in the way that there are certain parts that I had to write or think about, it kind of took me back to my own past relationship drama, or those things. So there were moments where you get really into the story and get to know this, but I think that just made it more genuine, and I think that it's I kind of feel like this book was therapy for me, like just getting through it. And okay, these people have these crazy things happening to them, and they're able to move past that. you know how could I help? How can I move past some of the things that I've dealt with, in that sense? So yeah.
Okay, who's your favorite thriller author?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I
that's
really
a tough
like,
one.
yeah, like, who do I like? I have recently been reading James Patterson. I have been reading uh, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank now. Frida McFadden. I'm like, it's online.
Yes.
Her books. Also, I've been reading. I don't know why I can't think of these authors right now. My brain is like still waking up, but
It's because we put
I
you
can
on the
visualize the
spot.
cover. That's what I do.
I did an article not too long ago, and I had to remember all these authors too. I had to go get the books off the shelf to put them in
Yes.
there. Kirsten Maudlin, I've recently started reading her books, and every time I read one of her books and I finish, I'm like, what did I just read? So, but I love it. I keep going, but I like that twist of you think what's going to happen, and then it's not what you thought. That's it in a nutshell. Why I love it. So
Yes, I totally agree. Even Lisa Jewell is like queen of that too. She's just, and you're like, no, no, it's just like, I can't believe that just happened. How did you know when it was going to be that switch from the romantic, endeavor to then the psychological thriller? When did that take a twist for you?
I think, and that kind of goes with the last question a little bit. I've been reading like romance and romantic suspense my whole life. That the authors I followed were like VC Andrews, and later, I don't know if you're familiar with VC Andrews, but her books were really twisted, and I was reading those in high school. Probably shouldn't have been, but just they're just kind of addicting. They all had the same premise, but they're all just how they are. And I was reading a lot of like Danielle Steele, Nora Roberts. So I was mainly doing the kind of romantic, and I think Nora Roberts, she kind of moved a little bit towards the suspense behind it. And so honestly, that's what I thought I was writing. And when I started going to writers conferences and talking to people in the writing world, that's when I found out that the stories I was writing were more psychological. So I honestly didn't even realize that it was happening that way. But then I realized some of the things I watch on TV and the movies I watch, oh yeah, of course, you know, I love movies like Gone Girl and Woman on the Train and, you know, things like that. So of course, that's why I think my mind would go that way. But I wasn't, as much as you know how, you know, what the genres are when you're writing and, you know, growing up writing, I don't think I really, there's always certain, you know, there's specifics on how a book falls into a category. And I guess there's specifics for it to be considered a romantic suspense. So, you know, you have to have 2 points of view, hers, his, and it has to be equal parts, you know, all these different things. So that's kind of how I found out, oh, okay, then I'm not writing a romantic suspense, but I still want to, you know, do that. But I do like the psychological part of it. So it's kind of later on that I realized that that was happening.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Nora
that's great
Roberts
because
doesn't
then
even consider herself a romance writer anymore. She considers herself a suspense writer. So,
yeah. And I think she's writing under, or she started writing under J.D. Robb, I think. I hadn't read any of those, but I think they're more like detective ones. I was curious though. Every time I see them, I'm like, I got to read one day to see how what the difference is.
They're excellent. I put Amy. Look at her; she's shaking her head. There's like 60 books in the series. I've read them all at least once.
Wow.
They're excellent, and Amy can't get through them. So.
Okay, now wait, listen. She did not tell that story to the full extent, and I'm gonna tell you the full story to the extent. So me and Dina were like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we like did our own little book club and we read together and then we debriefed it? And she was like, hey, you should really read J.D. Robb's got like 60 books. I read them every year. Like, let's read them together. Okay, so Dina set me up for failure from the beginning because she did not tell me that she is a speed reader and that she just like glosses over parts. I've never read these books. And I am a slow reader, which is why I listen to audiobooks while I read, because I am a slow reader. I'm not going to lie to you. So I was listening to it, and I was on like book 2 and she was on book 11. I was like, Dina, this is not how book clubs work. Like, we are supposed to pace together. So anyways, I eventually just gave up with her and let her just run full steam ahead because I was like, I'm never going to catch up to her anyways. So I just am leisurely reading them on my own. I don't need to complete all 60 in a year because I also read my clients' books, and then I have all my web-based novels and my audiobooks. And so I have all of these things. So anyways, yes, I did read them. I have been listening to them, but what Dina said was a lie. She set me up for failure on that. So she straight lied. So
I feel like I would be in the same boat if I was in a book. I keep trying to get in a book club too, but I am a fast reader, so I feel like I would be like, come on,
my people.
I am not a fast reader by any means, but we have been closing out our segments with this question, and I'm gonna ask all of you guys. And I just finished a book. Okay, I'm gonna look up the name because it was very lackluster for me, so I don't remember it. But I did finish a book, you guys. So, what book are you currently reading, or did you just finish?
So I have a bad thing where I read multiple books too. So I read different genres, so I'll find like whatever mood I'm in. That's the book I'm reading. I just finished one by Kirsten Maudlin. She did a trilogy, which I didn't know it was a trilogy until after I finished the first book. It's called The Arrangement. It's really good. And then I had to read the other two because, you know, it's a trilogy. You got to keep reading. Yes. And what else did I just finish reading? I read a really strange book. What was it called? It's on my shelf. I'm going to grab it right now. Hang on. Called All I Want, and it was really kind of complicated to get through because I didn't really understand what was going on. But here's the thing, if I'm interested in a story, and it might just be kind of a slower read because I'm trying to understand what's happening, I have to keep reading it. I have to finish it because I still have to know what happens.
Yes.
I get that.
I think I'll even read books that I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll still keep reading it because I got to know what happens. So, but that was the last one that I was reading.
Nice.
Let's see. I just finished Storybook Ending, and I loved it. It was very cute. It's very sweet romance kind of book about like miscommunication between people, and it's like a half price bookstore
Oh, nice.
setting, and the characters are it was really nice. And then I'm currently reading Evil Genius, so total, you know,
Left
180 on
field.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But because
Dina,
I was
what
like, every
about
once in
you?
a while, I'm not like a big like sweet romance books, but when I find a cute like a good one, it's just they flow really well, and you're like, oh, I love it. Like even like
Yeah,
How to Read a Book. I don't know if you read that book. That's great. But Storybook Ending, that was cute. That was very cute. Mhm.
I love it. Dina, are
Okay,
you reading a
well,
book?
JD Robb, shush. JD Robb has new books coming out. I have not read. There's like 4 of them that I have not read.
Ooh.
So I've been waiting. So I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my, I don't know, every 2
Journey
year
again.
reread the whole thing because I have to refresh my memory. Even though I've read them to this point where I could probably tell you the entire storyline, plot point by plot point, but I have to start over. That's just how I am. I can't. I do the same thing with television shows. I have to watch the whole seasons before I watch the new ones. I'm sorry.
Especially
Well,
the shows that are coming out recently, because it takes 2 years for the next season.
That's
Yes,
You don't
yeah,
so
remember.
true.
that is
Yeah.
a true
So
statement.
I'm actually on book 4 of the 65 book series.
Well, I'm ahead of you. Not by much though. I think I'm fine. I think I made it to 22. I'm winning.
See, you're gonna have to start over too, because now you're not gonna remember.
Anyways, I'm not. Anyways,
Yes.
so okay, so I just finished this book. It's called Behind Closed Doors by Shane Rose. So TK, I am a dark romance reader. I kind of fell upon it, and I don't know. I like the shock factor when there's really good plot twists in them that I can't see coming. And I'm a huge fan of Shane Rose. She writes billionaire romances, like, so I was a huge fan. So I was reading it, and it was, you guys, I love her, and I'm a ride or die for her, but it just was unclimactic. I don't know. It was lacking for me. It was supposed to have like, grooming and stuff in it, but it was slightly mentioned, so it wasn't really, a big climactic scene, I guess, like it should have been. But I'll tell you what, ever since I read The Sacrifice in the Lord series, I feel like everything that I've read since that book, because it was so dark, but yet twisted so beautifully, I have not been able to like achieve that. Everything after that's kind of been lackluster for me. So I probably need a palate cleanser, to be honest. But that book is out. The audiobook was fantastic. So I do recommend that. I am reading her Heart of a Monster book, which is a very dark mafia book. I'm listening to it. But again, I'm having trouble getting into it. So I don't know. That's just me. But TK, before we sign off, where can people go? Is your book up for pre-order? Where can people go to find out more about you and your book coming out?
Sure. So at the moment, Unveiled is the ebook is available on Amazon. Probably in the next couple of weeks, it's actually going to the formatter. The paperback will be available for pre-order as well, probably before the end of the month. But the ebook is available for pre-order now. And the information, any updates, if you go to my website, tkbush.com, has, I send out newsletter every month with just kind of with the updates. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram with pretty much everything about the book and things coming up. So I'm really excited about that.
I love it. Well, you guys go and check out TK Bush at all the sites that she just recommended. Join her newsletter list. And remember, her book comes out October 6th. And the nicest thing that you can do for any author is leave a review if you enjoyed it. But TK, we all want to thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to come and hang out and have a fun conversation and to let us know a little bit about your writing journey and about your book that's coming out. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I had fun.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you guys, we hope everybody has a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. And until next Monday, bye for now, everybody.
Bye.